Fellow Cameroonians, brothers and sisters, the year 2016 has just ended, and we all witnessed the entire nation has moved from one difficulty to another difficulty, where human wrongs were adopted as human rights. We witnessed a continuous difficulty in road accidents, trains derailing, citizen molestation, and abuses by the forces of law and order coming back from the central government of the CPDM. I call on you to wake up. It is time to decide. It is time for us to be focused. It is time for us to have a tangible vision, as I have always said. 2016 wasn't easy for us. People died. People were tortured. People were beaten. And people were created to be fearful to live in their own country. This time, we are not going to stay back. We have to get up. We have to look back and see where we failed. We have to look back and see where we face challenges and how we can come back and correct them in 2017. My fellow countrymen, the incidences which I've just mentioned that happened in 2016 and that have always happened in Cameroon over the years since Paul Biya took power. Such incidences and torture, molestation and death are not natural incidences. These incidences are man-made. They are provoked by members of this regime. These incidences are provoked by people who are running this nation but not running this nation properly. They have to be accountable of such incidences. They have to bear accounts of all the people who are dying in road accidents, in torturing, in beating, in tormenting, and in all sorts of forms that they are trying to quail down Cameroonians from expressing their anger. Somebody, somehow, out there is responsible for such incidences. We can't forget them. They are dreadful incidences, and 2016 was very dangerous for us. We couldn't bear it, and we came out for it, and we are still asking things to be delivered for us throughout. Until now, we are going into 2017. We have seen things happening. We have seen forces of law and others up and down the southern part of Cameroon. We've seen them arresting. We've seen them raping. We've seen them torturing. We've seen them hijacking. We've seen them killing. This is the Cameroon they say is for la bonne gouvernance. I wonder if this is bonne gouvernance. Bonne gouvernance, is it a French acronym or is it actually something that exists? People dying, people being tortured, people being beaten, but yet somebody says la bonne gouvernance. This is unacceptable in a country like Cameroon, where there are political parties and there are people who want to express their desire for equality, but yet there is no chance for them to speak, and the government says is bonne gouvernance. They need to explain to us what is meant by bonne gouvernance when we cannot even express ourselves, when they cannot allow citizens to come out and demonstrate and ask what they think is not right for them. 2016 wasn't easy for us, especially when it comes to the southern part of Cameroon, where soldiers are constantly deployed and citizens of that area are continuously being tormented. The people feel suppressed. The people feel the need to be equal. The people feel the need to speak out. Federation is not an abstract concept. Federation is simple. It's a part of development. It's part of democracy. It's part of equality. We see no reason why federation sounds so abstract into the minds and the ears of the CPDM party and into the minds and ears of the ruling party. We don't accept this. I just want to simply make a clear something clear in crystal clarity that federation is quite more better off for the regime than La République. If they say La République, it means that it's just one state. But if they say Federated Republic of Cameroon, it's better off because it makes it simple for a central government to manage it. Federation is not abstract. It is simple. It is just simple accept some group of people to run themselves, to manage their affairs, and to do their things. But still yet, there's a central government, or either a weak central government or whatsoever it be, but something that is acceptable that this group of people can run their day-to-day affairs in various departments and it comes back to a weak central government or whatever be, rather than just suppressing the idea of federation. Federation is not abstract. Federation is something that is existing. Federation is part of democracy. Federation is part of politics. Federation is day-to-day, which is quite easy and acceptable in a modern democracy. I don't understand the reason why federation has become an annoyance. Talking about federation, it is simple and crystal clear again, as I've always said. Federation brings about development. Federation brings about equality. Federation inspires people to work for themselves. Federation will not bring about division. It doesn't bring about us not being with La République du Cameroon. Federation just merely says that each and every region, the southern part of Cameroon and the northern part of Cameroon, stands up and work according to how their colonial era used to manage or how they want to manage themselves easily. Taking for instance, corruption, which have entered our system so seriously that we can't remove it. Promises upon promises from the government with Paul Biya, every year in, year out, corruption will be finished. Corruption is always there. It's never tried to even disappear in our midst. We are not angry with it. But with federation, some states will be competitive and say, here we used to live our natural rules, we have our way of life, we don't want corruption in this state, but another state can carry on whatever they think, but we all live like one person. Federation is clear-cut. It doesn't divide people, but it unites people. Federation doesn't separate people, but it unites the people. It brings in competition in the market. It brings in a growth in market. It brings in growth in employment. It brings in other positive things that the nation can prosper in. It is easy with federation. But I don't understand why people think that, especially the southern part of Cameroon or the northern part of Cameroon, thinks that federation is a means to separate Cameroonians. Federation is not separation. Federation is not differences. Federation unites. Federation is more better off for Cameroon than for people just staying like united but having no focus, having no vision, having no imagination, having no source of a particular way of life. Federation, again, I will retaliate. We have lived as a federated country since independence up to 1982 or 85. During Ahidjo, we were a federated state, United Republic of Cameroon. We all know the successes. We have been very successful during that period as a federated country. Everything up till now is a remembrance. Each and every Cameroonian who was born during that period knows how successful we were during federation. Now, we changed to La République du Cameroon. Things start happening, showing that even the union they're talking about, difficulties came in. We failed in education. We failed in judiciary. We failed in management. We failed in equality. We failed in road infrastructure. We nearly failed in everything. Schools are crumbling. The private sector is crumbling. The lawyers are struggling. The teachers are struggling. So why should we say we are united when we can just simply go back to what we were before and then develop ourselves, live happily, live successfully, manage ourselves properly, take out corruption, bring in transparency, take out inequality, bring in equality? Then that is the true union. And that is the true Cameroon we dream of. And that is the Cameroon where The Francophones ones, that's the Cameroon where the Anglophones ones. Nobody wants corruption. Nobody wants inequality. Nobody wants tribalism. But with this present regime, with the La République du Cameroon, it's all failed through. We are facing difficulties. We are having differences in the community. We have got failure in the culture, in our cultures. We have got failures in our traditions. The local funds and the local chiefs are all being corrupted. There's no transparency in the country. Federation is very, very important. It's very, very necessary for us. We need it. We need federation. If you and me, if either Paul Biya, either Philemon Yang, either Atanganjia, he tells me that yes, he doesn't want federation, he is surely mental. Federation is the only thing that will bring us better development. The love that we need for ourselves, the unity that we need for ourselves is through federation. Talking about federation and talking about a referendum in Cameroon, in a country where the election board is being managed right by the president, who himself goes to contest for the election and then managing the elections. How can we be asking for federation through a referendum? This is out of table. We don't want any form of referendum because we will never win anything. We have never in history of Cameroon won anything through the ballot box. So we don't want a referendum. We will not accept a referendum. If we want to go to the table, we should just go to the table, simply dialogue, and accept to be as we used to be before, during the days of Ahijo, bring back our prosperity, bring back our unity, bring back our happiness, bring back our togetherness, stay with our brothers, whatever language they speak, French, English, whatever, we are all the same. But federation is the only goal. Referendum is no point. It's cancelled, out of the table. Any politician, any Cameroonian who is talking about a federation or about a referendum, then that person doesn't know what he's saying. Because everything in the ballots in Cameroon is already made before the date. Our economy during the year 2016 is running dry. There is mismanagement in resources. Mismanagement in natural resources, mismanagement in the banks, mismanagement in all sorts of ways. Money running in and out into private pockets. From the seaports to the airports to all areas in Cameroon. There is no transparency. There is no transparency even with Cameroonians who say they are genuine, who blames the regime. There is no transparency. The government can be accountable. But those of us who have worked with the regime and fled to the diaspora, living somewhere out there in Europe, America, Japan, South Africa, and then still yet earning salaries in Cameroon, and then blaming the same regime without even thinking about a common man in the street who doesn't have water to drink in Cameroon. One day, somewhere, one of us will have to answer all these queries and they will have to be accountable for. The money they are earning without working in Cameroon, because using the corrupted regime, they will have to account for this money. Yes, you can blame Paul Biya. You stay in Europe, earning salary in Europe where you are working for, paying taxes in Europe, then earning salaries in Cameroon where you don't pay taxes, and then blaming the regime. That is not allowed. You need to hold your conscience. Look at Cameroon. Look at the common man in the village. Look at the common man in the street. No drinking water, no electricity, no food or balanced diet. But yet, you blame Paul Biya. You sit out here in Europe using the regime that Paul Biya has set up, a corrupted regime, and then you're earning money from there, you're proud, you're happy, and then you say you are free. I promise you that this will not go free. One day the ego will rise and follow you and hunt you down. And all these people will have to pay this money back into the system. They should be mindful. How much ever you've earned, you will have to pay back into the system. Cameroonians are suffering. A layman in the street in Cameroon, I bet you, is suffering. Seriously suffering. Yet you guys are earning money from there. You living in Europe, you living in America, you living in France, building houses in Cameroon, building houses in America, but earning money from the regime which is corrupted. Instead of trying to help and say, children are suffering, let the regime be transparent. Take yourself out of the system, work hard, and send in something into the system. Rather than earning out of there, when you don't work, you will pay back. Brothers and sisters, fellow Cameroonians, I will retaliate again, and I will tell you once more that we are here blaming the system. We are here sending text messages up and down, trying to fight for the nation. I congratulate you for that. I'm extremely over the moon, and I'm happy with you that we all fight for a better government. But if you are out here with your hands on top of that government, which is ruining this government, this system, and you're taking money out of there through corrupted means, your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your relatives are part of this regime, be very mindful. Tell them this is not good. Tell them that what belongs to Caesar should be given back to Caesar. What is not for you is not for you. Don't drain the system because you find a loophole, because you find chances that, yes, Paul Biya is corrupted, then the nation is corrupted, let me take bribe, let me take money that doesn't belong to me, let me send my child to Europe, let my child in Europe get money from the system and leave. You can send your text messages, you can hold conferences in Europe, you can try to help the regime in any form, but that goes nowhere. Because you yourself, your family, your dad, your uncle is part of the system. We should try and endeavor, like brothers, like sisters, like a whole family, to make sure that we take our hands off this corruption. We take our hands off things that doesn't belong to us. We see deeply that there are people in this country that are suffering and that they need their own little fair share. If the money is there, the economy is running without transparency, but Biya takes the money all for his family, we will hold him accountable. But now that there are some elements of people who have worked with the regime and then disappeared into the diaspora and now earning salaries from the regime and then living their good lives and then sitting back here and blaming the regime about transparency, about corruption. They themselves are not free. One day, this country, I swear, will be a transparent, democratic country where people will love to live, and each and every one of us that has put a hand on this corruption will have to be accountable for. No matter how much text messages you send, no matter how corruption or conferences you hold for transparency, one day you will have to bring the fair share that you took out from this regime without working it. It is time we stand up. This is 2017 at the door. It is knocking and knocking. And we all assemble around. We want transparency, we want federation, we want equality, we want love, we want all sorts of things. Take your hands out of this money you earn without working in this country. Hold your hand in your heart and withdraw and refrain from enjoying benefits from things that you don't work. Tell your moms and your dads that are working in the government that they should refrain from corruption. We are all blaming Paul Biya, but Paul Biya is not working alone. He's working with a group of people. All of this group of people are your dads, are your moms, are your aunties, are your uncles. Tell them that it is time that we want them to refrain from all this. 2017 is knocking, and we want it to be very, very transparent. I have always called for a unified vision between opposition parties. All opposition parties in Cameroon, all opposition party leaders have to get united, have to get a unified vision. We have close to 250 political parties, means that we have about 250 leaders of political parties in Cameroon. Why do we have so many political parties? This is part of the corruption. This is where the regime gains, because most of these political party leaders are not genuine. Some of them are creating political parties because they want to eat and benefit from the regime. They shouldn't be doing this. They should not create parties because they want to benefit. This brings about division amongst the society, amongst the communities in Cameroon. There's a lot of division because there are lots of political parties. There's no unity. There's no unified ideology which can benefit an average Cameroonian, a grassroots Cameroonian can benefit from. There's no legitimate opposition group that is there to stand up and fight through for a grassroots Cameroonian. They all have secondary aims. I call for a unified vision. I call that if it was left for me, there should have been just few political parties, that if each political party cannot identify another group, party, to join and unite and have the same vision so that we can reduce this number of parties, so that many political parties would unite to form few parties with the same vision, fighting to achieve one goal. They might fight in different ways, but they will succeed on one thing. And the same thing is the betterment for Cameroonians and the betterment for Cameroon. I call for a unified vision. I want all political parties to sit down and ameliorate and create a means where they can come together, where they can unite and merge with one another so that it is easy to get a touch with the politics, with the parties and their leaders. We should see a clear vision of what their plans are, what their ambitions are, what they want to do for us, so that citizens will not be confused of which party to join. All these parties are creating divisions. All these parties are helping the regime to bring about tribalism. We want a unified vision among Cameroon opposition parties. 2017 is close. As we all see, we are happy to go in, and people are still asking for what they want. There's protests all up and down the country in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. The place is all militarized. People are being bullied. There are soldiers all up and down the country as if they were going to fight Boko Haram. Their own citizens are now living in panic. We wish with all our hearts that we should be living in peace in a region where there is tolerance, there is accountability, there is peace, there is harmony, there is friendliness, there is smiles up and down. Our soldiers are meant to protect our borders and protect us, not coming back to beat us and rape our children. Our police is there to put the law and order into place, but not coming back to do pickpocketing in our house, stealing our monies, beating our people, raping our women and children. But now this is the community we live in today that Biya has created, that we should live in fear, in panic. We don't want to carry this in 2017. I'm happy that Cameroonians have all stood up during this year 2016 to ask for what they want, and they are asking for it. We are all behind them. We want all this to be put in place so everybody can live transparently and happily in their various homes, in their various areas, enjoy the fruitful nature of the country. And we are extremely happy to be with Cameroonians and support them strength to strength and see that we all become successful and a successful nation. We still want here from the office of the Cameroon Reformation Party that we will not accept those of us who still sit here trying to support him with all their might, but having their hands laid onto corruption, earning money from the country when they are not in place. These jobs that they are occupying in Cameroon, that they are not doing and they are not actually there to work. Somebody in Cameroon should have been occupying these jobs, but they are here in Europe and they are working, and somebody is there in Cameroon suffering with such qualification and even more qualified than him, but lacking a job and blaming the regime. But meanwhile, a Cameroonian who is studied and had a job in Cameroon, abandoning the job, flee to the diaspora for a better life with no reason, sometimes with a reason, and then still getting money from the regime. We will not accept that. Please, brothers, please, sisters, put your hand in the chest. Truly speaking, refrain from this. Give up these jobs so that other people who are suffering in Cameroon should have these jobs. The country is hard. You can't occupy this job and then live in Europe and then talking about against the regime. Please give up this job. 2017 is a year myself have envisaged that there should be peace in Cameroon. There should be transparency in Cameroon. There should be equality in Cameroon. There should be peace and democracy we should just live like brothers and sisters, but we should go back to our former way of life, the Federal Republic of Cameroon. That is what we want. I call on the regime of Paul Biya. I call on the opposition parties to come out and join us in the fight, to come out and understand that all what the people are asking is just peaceful and simple asking. They're just simply asking things. They are not coming out to fight. For those Cameroonians who are out there destroying, burning, provoking situations, we denounce that as well. When we say peaceful demonstration, it means peaceful demonstration. No fighting, no arguing, no burning down things. Be transparent. If you are going for peaceful demonstration, you should be peaceful. We don't want where you disrupt the system. We know the system is already disrupted, but don't aggravate things. Leave the things so that they should all crumble into Paul Biya's hand. I thank you all that we should all live for 2016, all what we've done wrong, leave it back there, and then move genuinely into 2017, be peaceful, be transparent, be honest, and be ready to chip into the system and ask yourself, what can you do for this nation? And then see what this nation can do back for you as well. It's vice versa thing. I thank you all. And may God bless each and every one of us so that we should live longer and we should live throughout 2017. We should fight for our nation and bring it back into a nice, peaceful democracy. Thank you very much. God bless Cameroon.